What's up, guys? Welcome to the video. My channel is College Football Frenzy, back with another video, and today I'm going to be breaking down my predictions for Week 2 of the SEC College Football season. Week 1 for the SEC College Football season is officially in the books, and it was a very exciting one, a very crazy one indeed. A lot of great games that were not supposed to be close that ended up coming down to the wire. A lot of teams that we did not think would be very good ended up putting up good fights against much stronger teams. So it was a very exciting week in the SEC, and this season may very well, with what we saw in Week 1, may not go how we expected it for this conference. So it's very exciting. I absolutely loved Week 1 watching the games, and I'm excited to see how the season shakes out. I'm going to first go over what happened in Week 1, and then I'll make my picks for Week 2. Without further ado, let's get into it. Waste no time. So for Week 1, I went 6-1 on my picks. I had Alabama over Missouri. That was a blowout. Not much of a problem there. I had Georgia over Arkansas. Georgia indeed did win, but Arkansas actually put up a pretty good fight, at least in the first half. Of course, Georgia pulled away later in the second half, but Arkansas actually did a pretty good job of staying with Georgia in the first half. So I was very impressed with how Arkansas did against Georgia. Even if they ended up losing by a lot, the scoreboard doesn't necessarily indicate how the full game went. So Arkansas was pretty impressed by putting up a fight against Georgia. Kentucky versus Auburn. A lot of people were picking Kentucky for the upset. I stuck with Auburn. Luckily, that was a good choice on my part. Auburn won by double digits. Florida at Ole Miss. Ole Miss put up a pretty good fight. Scored a good amount of points on Florida. However, it didn't matter in the end, though, because Florida dominated against Ole Miss's defense, and the Gators won that game. So I was right on that pick. The big shocker of the week, the one pick I did get wrong, Mississippi State went into Baton Rouge against LSU and came out with a double-digit victory. Absolutely crazy. I don't think many people were expecting the Bulldogs to win, but Mike Leach's air raid offense, it worked against LSU somehow. It's crazy to see the defending national champions go out like that in the first game of the season, losing to a Mississippi State team. So obviously Mississippi State, they're now pretty high in the rankings. It'll be exciting to see how good of a team Mississippi State actually is this year. It's very exciting because obviously this team is a lot different than it was last year. And for LSU, obviously, kind of like Mississippi State, LSU's team, very different from last year. So it should be exciting to see how these two teams do. Tennessee at South Carolina. I picked Tennessee over South Carolina. I knew this one would be fairly close. Luckily, I did make the right pick here. Tennessee barely held on against the Gamecocks, but they did win in the end. And Vanderbilt at Texas A&M, kind of like Arkansas, Vanderbilt put up a really good fight for some reason. Very surprising, but Vanderbilt only lost by a few points against Texas A&M on the road. Nonetheless. So it was a great game by Vanderbilt. I was very impressed. I thought Vanderbilt was not going to win a single game this season, but with the way they played against Texas A&M, they might have a chance to win one or two games. So I was very impressed by Vanderbilt. I wasn't very impressed, obviously, by Texas A&M. Of course, maybe Vanderbilt just put up a great performance, but Texas A&M needs to play a little bit better. But they still got the victory in the end. So overall, 6-1, a pretty good week for picks. Now, going on to Week 2, it's a little bit more exciting, actually. A few games that are very interesting, starting out with Texas A&M at Alabama. So, obviously, like I said, Texas A&M struggled last week. They're playing at Alabama this week. Not really a break here. I think this is going to be a tough game for the Aggies. I think Alabama overall, just being at home and having a better head coach and the overall better team, I think they're better talent-wise. I think they're going to win. I don't think Mond is going to be as good as a quarterback as people say he's going to be. So I think he's going to disappoint this season. So I have Alabama taking this one over Texas A&M, probably by double digits. The second game, Mississippi State versus Arkansas, two teams that, again, most people were surprised by, did pretty well. Arkansas held their own for a half, and Mississippi State ended up upsetting the defending national champions. This one, I have Mississippi State, though. That offense, that pass offense, just looked really good under Mike Leach, that air raid offense. So I'm going to take Mississippi State here at home. This could definitely be a pretty good team this year. The biggest game of the week, probably Auburn at Georgia. Obviously, this is the Deep South's biggest rivalry, or the oldest rivalry, so it's a big game. I'm going to take Georgia here. I wasn't very impressed by Georgia's performance against Arkansas, but I think they kind of regrouped this week. It's at home. I think they're able to win this game against the Tigers. It's definitely going to be close, no doubt about it. Auburn's definitely a very good football team, but I think Georgia wins in a close one, maybe by a field goal. All right, South Carolina at Florida could be an interesting one. Last year, South Carolina nearly beat Florida. This time around, I think Florida will win, but South Carolina, I think, will be a pretty decent football team this year. So it definitely could be close, but I'm going to take the Gators here. Ole Miss at Kentucky, pretty balanced game here. Both lost last week. Both put up decent performances against their opponents. I think this will be pretty close. I'm excited to see how Lane Kiffin does in his second game. I'm going to favor Ole Miss here. I'm going to take Ole Miss. I originally would have said Kentucky, but I'm going to take Ole Miss, actually. I think Lane Kiffin can get the job done. So I have the Rebels winning on the road. Missouri at Tennessee, fairly easy one. I don't think Missouri is going to be very good this year. I think Tennessee is going to be a solid football team. Not anything incredible, but it's still a solid football team, so I'll take Tennessee. And LSU at Vanderbilt. LSU obviously did not have a great week last week, and Vanderbilt did pretty impressive for what we expected from them. That being said, it's LSU versus Vanderbilt. I'm going to take the Tigers here. I think they get the job done. So overall, those are my picks for week 2. Again, Alabama over Texas A&M, Mississippi State over Arkansas, Georgia over Auburn, Florida over South Carolina, Ole Miss over Kentucky, Tennessee over Missouri, and LSU over Vanderbilt. But anyway, guys, that's it for now. Thank you for joining in. Please make sure to like and subscribe. Check out my other videos, and have a good day.